poked Pig. I don't know. I don't know where he is. There you go. Pig. G'day, mate. Hello?
Hey, hey.
Hey, there we go.
Sorry for the AFK there.
It's all good. Just trying to get a hold of you for a couple minutes. Hasn't been that long. Lobby just went up, so you haven't missed much. Other than ByuN proclaiming that this is his room. And iAsonu responding with like, what a hell? But anyways, yeah, new series TvZ. It's interesting because for me, there's two Chinese players that always stuck out. I don't know if these guys will ring any bells for you, Pig. But iAsonu was one and Jigua was another. Both just pretty good players coming out of the Chinese scene.
Yeah, IA is a really smart guy, very young. He actually has fantastic English and a beautiful singing voice. We
Oh,
went to karaoke with him um, earlier this year, actually. It was after GPL. And rather than get him to actually use his voice to full effect, we forced him to sing Linkin Park. It was
so instead of this like voice of an angel, he's like crawling in my skin. This
exactly.
orange, it will not peel.
Pretty much, man. It was beautiful. So yeah, no, iAsonu is a really cool guy. He's definitely got his work cut out for him in ByuN here. I'm not sure. Did you have a chance to read Artosis' preview of this event by any chance?
No, I didn't even know he. I normally love reading Artosis' stuff. I didn't realize he had written one.
Yeah, I
Where's
was
that? Just
reading it.
like on
Just
Reddit or?
I think it just came out last night. I saw it on Reddit. It was just on his SC dojo, and I think he was pretty spot on with his analysis. He's like, IA is pretty good. He's been beating some pretty good players, but it would be a very huge upset for him to actually get out of this group. That being said, he's a clever guy. He's got some sneaky builds. He knows when he's kind of outmatched against a player, as he is in this match with ByuN, the world champion. So he knows that he'll probably have to try something very special. I wouldn't be surprised to see some very cheeky all-ins, some surprise tactics coming out. I don't expect him to try and play a straight-up macro game.
I mean, okay, on one hand, yeah, you got ByuN, world champion, but also, let's not forget, there's Maru, there's Solar. There is no easy match in this group. Like this, to be completely honest, I know there's really big names like Sue and Zest and others, like Innovation. I see this as like the toughest group, to be honest.
It definitely is a scary one. And IA did actually lose to ByuN last time they played 2 days ago, back in China at the WCA 0-2. And unfortunately, he lost 1-2 to Keller Zur as well. But he did take down Petit Drogo, showed some very good ZVP, and he took down his Chinese comrade Tu Ming 2-0. So, he had an amazing run in the qualifier. He did take down Bunny, Korean Bunny, that is, as well as Trap and Bial and Tails. But just beating Bunny, that's the only really kind of big ZVT victory he has recently. Otherwise you'd have to go all the way back a couple of months to see a victory versus Gumiho and one versus Major a couple months ago as well. But for the most part, I don't think ZVT is his strongest matchup.
Well, it's unfortunate because even if it was the strongest matchup, you are coming against ByuN, and this is definitely one of his strongest matchups. Where we saw a lot of players like, well, referencing Kelazur moments ago, or even the sudden rise of TY, Euthermal, basically any top Terrans you can think of from any region, they're all doing it off the back end of Reapers. ByuN has historically had, I think, Reapers be his single worst unit that he's controlled in this game. And that became a bit of a meme on Base Trade TV until we went to the Elima League Finals and talked to the other Terrans that were there, and they were all very aware that ByuN is amazing at every aspect of the game except for his Reaper play. So I guess we'll get to see whether that's the bane of iAsonu here or IA. I think for me, it's again ByuN. I think he's the guy who he took Ryung's to medevac push, turned it into his own thing, made it popular. Everyone started doing it. He is the front runner of Terran versus Zerg.
Absolutely. Of course, this match will be underway shortly. It is going to be on Newkirk Precinct. A map we've seen once or twice. A very interesting map. A huge rush distance on it. Relatively close air distance.
What is this joke ByuN's doing in chat? iAsonu, iBosonu, iSisonu.
iAsonu.
This is going down the alphabet with his name. So by the
Beyond's
way,
a funny guy.
normally we're trying to be all more professional and not talking about too much craziness in chat, but gotta give a shout out to Brand7 on X. Brand7 on X. He says, "Look at Bunny just recently played in a tournament and lost us in the semifinals." I know, man. That was my tournament. It was really awesome, and we got to follow a lot of Bunny's games. It was really exciting getting to see him come out and play again. It's a lot of mech too, so it felt good, man.
Looking forward to it. iAsonu was asking ByuN, did you eat something that makes you so high? ByuN hasn't responded just yet. Crank was getting in on the joke with iAsonu as well. I love this banter when people don't speak the same language like fluently and everyone's just kind of throwing out a bit of garbled English. But then I actually does speak English very well. But the Korean guys just have their limited English banter in chat.
What's he gonna do when it gets to the iAsonu?
That's where things get really confusing.
I don't know, Pig. Did you in Australia? I'm not sure if they had the same thing. Did you ever have like Fred Penner or Raffi listen to any of their music, like kind of kids' music?
No.
Oh, they
we just have the Wiggles, man. We just love the Wiggles.
The Wiggles. I would love to learn about the Wiggles. Well, they had this song that was really catchy for kids, and it was supposed to teach you about vowels, right? So it's like, I like to eat apples and bananas. And then it'd be like, next verse would be, I like to eat apples and bananas. Basically, teach you about the vowels. This is what I feel like is happening here in the lobby with this whole variation I asked in his name. Oh no, Pig, what happened to the other thing? No!
It's on your end, not my end this time.
Oh, really? Because it says I'm the last one remaining. I don't know.
Yeah, it said the same for me. I don't know what happened, man.
Maybe the game's too mad that we're taking too long to play it. It's like,
could be just...
y'all need to quit going AFK for 20 minutes at a time.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, I don't know if there's any way to recover it either.
It
doesn't matter. So we've
At
had
least...
some long downtime today, guys. So me and Rifkin may have been playing some other games on the side against each other to keep ourselves awake and entertained. I don't think Rifkin slept for a good 24, 36 hours or something at this point.
Yeah, well, not quite that long. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I think this will probably finish around 3 or 4 a.m. depending on how much downtime there is. I'm not doing so bad right now. It's like the last legs is going to get goofy and loopy, and we'll see how far we can get through it. I feel like I've been trying to keep really calm, so I'm not using too much of my energy. I was going to say, though, at least we got to see each other in that last game, so progress.
Yeah.
I really wish we had a better structure, though, of the downtime, because what I would love to do, honestly, is just play co-op while we're waiting. I love co-op in StarCraft so much.
Yeah, I really want to try out Stukov as well. It just looked ridiculous. To give everyone that's watching... Sorry, continue.
Well, I was going to ask real quick, have you played... I know it's really popular on the phone or whatever, Clash Royale?
No, I haven't. My girlfriend was playing for a bit.
Well, I don't have a good reference for you then. Go on, whatever you were going to say then. We're done with this.
Anyway, moving on. So basically, just to go through the matches which we'll be covering on this stream, guys, we are covering match 1 and match 2 from Group D. So right now it's ByuN versus iAsonu, which will be underway very shortly. And then we'll be going into Maru versus Solar.
Oh.
Which is going to be a awesome match. Of course, after that, we're swapping groups to Group D. To Group C. Sorry, we're starting with we're on Group D right now. We'll be swapping to Group C, where we'll be doing the winners match there between the winner of Dark and Jackg and the winner of ByuN Classic. I'm really hoping for a Dark Classic match there because they have the sickest games. And then we'll be doing the elimination and decider match from Group C as well. Of course, the mainstream will swap over to our group. They'll be watching the winners match of ByuN IA and Maru Solar. and then they'll be doing the elimination and decider matches. So on both streams, there's going to be a lot of action-packed games, a lot of absolutely tip-top level players, a lot of BlizzCon top 8, top 16 players in there as well.
By the way, assuming what ByuN was saying schedule-wise, we should be getting going in a couple of minutes, guys. I know someone just said an hour in chat, but that is not correct. But yeah, I gotta say, like, I'm really curious who's gonna be the winners match for. I want to say like ByuN, like we're not gonna cast winners match at this group, so I think it's fine to speculate. I think ByuN versus Solar would obviously make the most exciting matchup, and Solar has actually been looking very good. If you guys saw Shoutcraft this past weekend, like Solar, I think he won like 7 in a row or something. He was knocking everybody out. So I think ByuN Solar would be the best winners match you could hope for in this group. But if it was Maru versus ByuN too, that wouldn't be too bad. TvT has become a lot more interesting with the tank change-up.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually a fan of both styles of TvT, but it's definitely changed a lot. And it's really interesting. You know, there's been a lot of comments going around that all that matters is Viking superiority, so your tanks can edge forward and things like that. But I really do feel like it's a lot more flexible than that. The tanks are great, but there's so much room for maneuvers, and the early game of TvT is pretty much the same as it always was, intense and crazy, filled with aggression. We see Ravens as a much more viable early game unit to shut down Banshees, but other than that, it's pretty action-packed. So yeah, either way, be very excited to see who goes through to those winner matches. Of course, we are kind of assuming it's ByuN that's going to beat iAsonu, but anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the stream right before you came back. I asked ByuN, how you doing, buddy? And he said bad. So, I mean, I don't know how truthful that really is. But still, maybe he's having an off day.
Maybe. Of course, ByuN vs. Solo would be great as well. Solo is one of those guys. I always think back to, in 2014, kind of the middle stage of Heart of the Swarm, where all the Protoss players had figured out how to make Blink Stalkers and take 3 bases and use force fields really well, and Zerg players were really struggling to find any consistent results. And I feel like Solar was the one guy in like 2013, early 2014 who figured out that stuff and had these sick builds. And I think he's carried that through this year and combined it with just world-class mechanics. He has grinded so many games. He has so many builds up his sleeve for every matchup. And we've seen him become a real well-rounded player in every matchup.
You want to know what I think one of my favorite aspects of Solar is, though? Actually, it has nothing to do with StarCraft. A lot of you guys got to hear his English and see it for the first time at Home Story Cup. I've talked to Solar many times prior to that, so I already knew he had pretty good English. What I love is he's never taken a single class for it. It's all from watching TV.
Oh, really?
He's amazing at English just because he watches like a lot of American shows and movies. I think that's so great. But you guys heard the beeps. We're in the game screen, and we're getting into this first best of 3 of the group. I'm Rifkin, casting with Pig. And spawning here on the bottom left side, we've got the red Terran player. He was this year's BlizzCon champion. It's ByuN.
I like that. Add a bit of hefty grunt to that intro. Over here on the right-hand side, it is the Chinese Zerg player, IA.
Also, one sec, guys. My sound seems to have gone a little bit off, although that might be on my end. That was on my end. Okay, cool. Nailed it.
Awesome.
So I was going to mention real quick, or ask you real quick, Pig. IA, I hear this on the WCS streams all the time. The first time I ever saw this guy was like 3 years ago in the Acer Team Story Cup, right? And I always thought it was iAsonu. So is there any story behind IA, or is it just decided it's easier to say that way?
IA is just easier to say, yeah. Other people said it, and so I've started saying it as well. If your camera ever gets off skew, is there a hotkey to reset that? Because I'm on a slant.
So,
right
okay,
now.
if you do 1 CE, that'll fix your camera. But if you get stuck on a slant, that sometimes will just be the problem of swapping cameras, because Blizzard hasn't fixed that, and it's a bit of an issue.
That's all right. It's all fixed now. Thanks, man. Yeah, that was really awkward. I was on like this kind of weird 30 degree angle. It puts you on like 30 degree. Yeah, it's. Yeah. You know what's silly about that? When it's broken like that, if I put my camera on your view, then it'll twist my camera to match yours as the default. And you can keep doing this to each other and actually rotate the camera around and cast upside down, so to speak. And it's very disorienting seeing the shadows on the buildings be backwards. Wow. IA going to be opening up with a pull first, but it's a very defensive pull first here. Wanting to get out a queen very early. No doubt just being very safe against any potential 3-Rex Reaper. This isn't the strongest map for 3-Rex Reaper, but there is a decent bit of jump up space on that natural, so no doubt just wanting to be nice and safe there. He's also going to send out a drone, and well, it looks like he might be going for one of these fast third hatchery builds. All right.
So
This is gaining so much popularity lately.
Right, but it's a lot less conventional to be placing it up here. I think a lot of the times we're seeing this base here be the preferred one, and leapfrog the creep, and it's better defensively. I don't know that taking it up here is the best idea, especially against somebody like ByuN, who's really going to want to stretch you thin and pull you all the way north with one drop, and then hit you in the main with another 2.
It's a bit of give and take. Yeah. At the same time, they can't go from pressuring your third to diving into your main base as quickly with the same group of units. So
that's true, yeah.
And it is much harder for ByuN to actually push over to that base. Of course, in this case, ByuN is going Hellions, so I think that's actually ideal for ByuN to be playing with the more mobile units against the more mobile spread out base layout for IA. There is going to be a starport and a tech lab going down behind this as well, so ByuN may be opening up with cloaked banshees behind those Hellions, and I think that's always a good way to open up one of those classic builds which never fully cycles out of popularity.
Do you think that ByuN is just going to take this map, go back in time and find builds appropriate, specific for this map? Like, Hellion Banshee is not a bad opener, but it really isn't the thing Terrans are doing nowadays. It's not the hip, cool, meta thing to do.
It in and out, and I feel like it's never bad. I think if you do it every game, it kind of becomes bad. But because players aren't really used to playing against it that much, I think it's still powerful, and you do have a good amount of flexibility with the Hellions and Banshees, especially if you've got that really good control with kind of poking in around the edges of spore crawlers, grabbing the drones on the edges of the base, that sort of thing. So I'm curious to see how he plays it out. Now, IA has actually poked in with his Overlord. He's seen the starport with the tech lab upgrading, so he's actually going for a very fast lair to help deal with this. He's adding on lots of extra queens as well, so IA, so far, looking pretty well set up for the macro game, just trying to prepare for anything ByuN can throw his way.
Well, none of the Hellions taking damage just yet. I mean, the Reaper's almost dead, but that should heal up in a second. It's kind of the nice thing about it. It's a bit of a meat shield. The Banshee is going to head straight to the main, so it's not going to be complementing the Hellion force at the front. But the Spore Crawlers here, there's quite a few queens out. I'll be surprised if this Banshee gets too much done.
Overlord did spot it. There is a Spore Crawler in position, and the Queen already moving into position to make sure he's ready for that. IA looking pretty good so far, getting his creep spread out. Spore Crawler connecting his bases as well. Very well prepared for this aggression. He's going to need to get an Overseer down there, but that's already morphing on the way. Meanwhile, ByuN transitioning into Bio behind this. He's got his third CC down, adding 2 more barracks, and is going to be dropping his double engineering bay in just a moment as well. So ByuN here really just calmly poking around with his pressure, not overcommitting, and then looking to follow up with that strong 3-base macro play.
It's always interesting putting the command center in the wall. I know that you've been playing Terran a little bit more Pig. Have you experienced the frustration of trying to wall anything with a command center?
Yes, I know all about screwing that. Oh, this Banshee is getting hunted down. If IA just moves this Queen over from the natural, that's dead. Yep. Looks like does do it, shuts it down. There is actually another Banshee coming across. It's sort of a delayed second Banshee that's just coming over into the main base now. Hellion's going to go for a run by on the third. There are Zerglings pretty well positioned, just grabs a drone and backs off. And that Banshee in the main, IA actually does a good job of chasing that away with the Queen as well. IA is really on top of his defense. I'm very impressed by his macro, and interestingly, +1 range is on the way and roach speed. Now, I had read about this apparently in the qualifier. IA crushed Bunny with just big 3-base mass roach ravager attacks. Really old school stuff that we don't see anymore. But it looks like he's going to be going for that big roach ravager base play here once again. And I think on such a big map, he's going to probably have one strong timing attack, but I don't know how it'll play out in the later stages of the game.
If he finds ByuN with a lot of Widow Mines and even the oddity of tank here and there, Ravagers are really great in that situation. But if ByuN just piles on the bio, I mean, he just threw down two more barracks, right? Like, not even Marauders, but just Marines. I don't know if the Ravagers will work. That was actually something we saw back in, I want to say, like, Pult's Prime days, where you'd see people trying to bust with Roach Ravager, and he would just micro through it. He'd dance through it. He'd stim into the Ravager shots and easily deal with it. as long as he had enough bio behind it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a point where you get enough critical mass to overwhelm. But if you don't have many siege tanks, then you can end up in trouble. Now, luckily for ByuN, that Banshee, when it went in and picked off that Queen, it saw that there were roaches being produced. And that's allowed ByuN now to swap his factory onto a tech lab and start up that siege tank production. So not overcommitting to Widow Mines at all. He is just going to be pumping out bio tank. And this is going to allow him to get up that force, which can outrange and outposition the Roach Ravager.
Yeah, the roaches are very susceptible to the tank fire, but the nice thing is, without being able to pick them up anymore, the Ravagers can easily pick off the tanks if done correctly. But if you sacrifice too many roaches for it, not done correctly. So there's a lot of pros and cons to what's coming. iAsonu will have a lot of units, though. That should be the goal of what this gets him. Ooh, Marines pick off that Queen pretty quick. Got really, really low, though.
ByuN there, always finding those openings to just dive in deep and get a bit of damage done. He is getting his +2 attack on the way. He's adding a few Liberators in. A little bit of an odd choice. Maybe going to hit, say, the main base with those while distracting somewhere else. Still has those Hellions alive on the north side of the map. They might find a moment to do a run-by later on in the game when IA is distracted. And you'll notice ByuN just never throwing these units away. He's just going to wait until he has the opportunity to use them properly. And so far, he's kept IA really cornered in his side of the map. His creep spread is really pushed back.
Not only that, but even just diving in for a Ravager just now, getting all 8 Marines out, like, that's impressive. That's not something easy to do, especially against a Roach Ravager army, but finding weakness, picking off what he can. He'll probably stim in, pick off something else, and pick up, given the opportunity.
IA is going Burrow. He's got an Infestation. He's swapping into melee upgrades. I wonder if he's just going to go for, like, Ultras and Infestors or something like that. Of course, the new Burrowed Infestor is very powerful, but for now, it's just Roaches out for the army, but a very big economy for IA. He's going to be able to take a couple bad trades and remax. The scary thing, though, is as we get closer to 200 supply, his army becomes very weak. These Roaches, they're not really big damage dealers for how much supply they cost.
Yeah, if this was a lot more tank heavy and a lot less emphasis on the bio, I think Burrowed Tunneling Claw Roaches are actually amazing at dealing with tanks. But that's not going to be the case here. There's so many Marines to guard this. Combat Shields isn't quite finished up, but 2-2's almost done for ByuN, so he's going to be packing quite a punch with these Marines.
Hellion run by on the third base. Like I said, it was just waiting for that moment where he's distracted, and here we go. ByuN, his patience is being rewarded. 8 drones going down. Going to grab another 5 or 6 at least, and I mean, still no roaches over here. Massive damage for ByuN.
I really like this. 13 drone killed now. If he had sacrificed those earlier, he would have gotten like maybe 3 or 4. So yeah, his patience really paying off. And your alarm going off or something, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, just my phone ringing in the background there. Just going to turn that on silent. Of course, Marine Tank now rotating into this killer position. This high ground up here is so powerful. And those Infestors, he sees them. They don't quite have energy for Fungal yet. Okay, one of them goes down.
While this is happening, ByuN got the main. So that drone count went from like 8 dead, 13 dead to 41 killed. This has been a massacre. And it wasn't even around the front army. He's still not even done. He's still in the main, and he's still not being pushed back. The hatchery might even go down. Looks like he should be able to push it back, but oh my god, ByuN getting so much damage done. Killing the base, killing some army, killing the drones. He's in such a good spot.
Alright, this position looking very good for ByuN now. Not overextending into the Roach Ravager. That's really what IA kind of needs right now. Now that his economy is not so high, he's really on a clock. He's in a very short-term position. He does have Ravagers. He's got 1 Infestor out, 2 more on the way. They're going to give him some efficiency, some ability to recycle throughout the game. But, yeah, I mean, ByuN's just so patient. 3-3's on the way. He's adding more barracks. He's got 3 Tech Lab barracks up in the back now. He's got 2 factories, which he can build tanks out of. He's got a 4th command center. And ByuN just looking so powerful.
You know, you're quoting the strategy of what he did in the qualifiers. I totally believe that would work against a lot of Terran players out there, but ByuN is not a lot of Terran players. ByuN is one very specific, godly Terran player. So it's not, like, to look at this fail, it's not that this is a bad strategy, but this is just, it's ByuN, man. He's a whole other class of player. We don't see any of the fungal growths pairing up with these corrosive biles, unfortunately. Finally, a fungal growth lands, but picks off units a little bit too late. Overlord's in the top right even getting corralled. ByuN just slowly pushing in. iAsonu has a lot of army supply, but it's all roaches, so it's a little bit inflated.
Here comes the engage. Roaches and Ravagers coming in with a sick concave. Those tank splash doing big damage. The fungal in the middle actually allowing IA to push through this army. He will overwhelm and win this battle. But behind it, ByuN is dropping on the north side. Once again, getting into that worker line. And IA's economy, so bruised and battered from before, is unable to bounce back from this. He is down about 25 workers. ByuN's dropping mules on top of that. The income disparity is disgusting right now.
Not to mention just the supply. I mean, again, if you're roaches and ravagers, you should be close to max almost all the time, always. That's just how those units work. But the fact is, IE's floating like 1,500 minerals. He's on barely 111 supply. It's all kinds of feels bad, man.
ByuN even building bunkers in the middle of the map. Kills the fourth base once more. iAsonu is running out of mineral patches to mine from. His drones are just running around trying to find somewhere to go. ByuN is healthily up on 4 bases. Comfortably there. His 3-3 is almost finished. And just an endless stream of biotech coming across this map.
Yeah, the 3-3 is going to be really killer on this. I didn't even realize how far behind the weapon upgrades had fallen for IA. I mean, he's got the armor, which is kind of nice, but just not having that damage. Tries to take the base. There's no way. You know, so much of this game up to this point has been fighting Marines. Those aren't even really hard counters to the roaches. Now that you got so many... Look at this line, this conga line of Marauders that just came in. These are going to destroy those roaches. They're going to wreck those Ravagers. And this game, I mean, no amount of fungals are left on the map that could possibly save them.
Yeah, the tanks don't even need to be in siege mode on the left flank. So much Marine Marauder coming through. The medevacs might be low on energy, but there's just not enough Zerg. Good fungal corrosive bile for the last stand. But IA's units get overwhelmed. ByuN crushing through to the 1-0 lead.
Very nice start to the series for ByuN. I do want to note, it's cool. Again, like, ByuN's not a guy who pulls out a bunch of 3-Rax Reaper in tournament play. And that's a lot of respect to be said for that, but his macro is so sexy, Pig.
Oh, yeah. Played that really patiently, that game. I always admire it, you know. Someone when, like ByuN, they're known for being so aggressive, but he really shows his true form when he doesn't just kind of dive in the front over and over, but he dances around on the edge of you know, going in for the pressure without overcommitting. And then he'll dive in and snap a queen, pick up, pull back, and just keep repeating that process. And it puts so much pressure on the Zerg's shoulders. And that all piles up. The Zerg starts missing injects. They start missing creep tumors. They get pushed back into their corner of the map. And this is what allows ByuN then to follow through with that huge mid-game push, the Marine tank, Marine Marauder medevac coming across the map. And the Zerg players tend to just fall apart against it. Really, Dark is one of the few players who kind of goes toe-to-toe with ByuN on a regular basis. But IA is going to need to step up his game if he wants to do the same.
By the way, going back to us being spoiled, right? ByuN and Dark, not only both streaming, but fighting each other like on stream is so sick. I love.
Really? I didn't even catch that. That's awesome, man.
There's been a couple of great, like Innovation versus Dark 2. There's been a couple of really great matchups just happening like from streams. It feels like grand finals tournament play, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we are spoiled as StarCraft fans. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 2. Spawning here on the bottom left side. He is up 1 game. Oops. It's going to be the red Terran player, ByuN.
Looking ByuN unstoppable in that game 1. This Chinese Zerg up here in the top right-hand side, spawning the blue. He has his work cut out for him. It is IA. Or iAsonu, whatever you prefer.
So I think, I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was some sort of robot developed in the early, like, 2000s or something. Or iAsonu was like a name I've heard before. And when I saw this on him, I was like, oh, it must be the same thing. So I feel like I'm trying to go your way and call him IA, but it's just weird because I never read that way first. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Googling IA, it's coming up with a lot of StarCraft stuff. I'm curious now. But that's cool. Anyway, we are going to be seeing I think just a standard barracks gas this game out of ByuN. And going to be going up against, once again, a pool first out of IA, wanting to get those queens out very early on to help hold on here. Of course, this map pretty strong for Reapers. Not the strongest, but ByuN lately, maybe because he's so known for that Reaper play, maybe because so many people are opening up with pool first, he seems to be steering away from mass Reapering in a lot of his games, playing a lot of more generic playstyles, and especially a lot of Hellion openings. And this is yet another big map with spread out third bases. So I definitely would not mind him opening Hellions once more.
I really like the patience with the Hellions too. I've seen so many good Terrans who, if they go for the Hellion opening, if they feel like if it didn't get anything done, they're going to do what they can to make it done. And if ByuN had done that mentality, he would have gotten like not even close to half the drones that he would have otherwise gotten. So I really like the calm and collected choice to keep those back, keep them alive, kind of keep them hidden, and then go in later. Regardless of whether it's Hellions or not, by the way, for ByuN, it's as long as he's not changing it up and do something weird, and he's not the type of guy to do this in tournaments, right? Like, he's not going to pull mech out of nowhere when he's been playing ByuN for like 4 years solid. I love watching the way he controls his units, and with these extra barracks coming down, I don't think we'll see anything too unfamiliar to what we saw in that last game.
Not until you can start a step Hellions as well as you can with Marines. I don't think ByuN's going to do that. He is going to be going for a 2-1-1 fast double medevac stim drop this game. The build which he really made famous, and I think every single player on ladder has played against this build at this point because it is so popular. You know, it really defined ByuN, and it's kind of defined Terran play in the TvZ matchup this entire year.
You know, I've obviously seen it out of ByuN first, and that's where I just assumed it came from. It was during the Alima League finals. Crank was kind of telling me while we were about to cast Ryung, like, so I don't know if you know this, but Ryung was actually the first one to do that. But obviously, you know, ByuN had more success and he made it more popular, so everyone just attributes it to him. Ryung not super mad, but maybe a little bit salty that he doesn't get the credit for it, I guess. But regardless, this is a build that he has perfected and just made so much his own, winning so many early game fights. There have been so many TvZs we've cast where ByuN wins this tournament, this series, whatever, at like the 8-minute mark before this game even gets past layer tech, just because he does so much damage in the early game. But we saw that last game, IA was able to deflect pretty well when it was Hellions and Banshee. Let's see if he can deflect when it's ByuN's more standard build.
Interestingly, IA going to be opening up with a very fast carapace upgrade. That's going to kick in right around the time that double medevac drop hits. Just slightly after the first wave. That's going to make his Queens and Zerglings much stronger at absorbing the damage from those Marines. So, cute little adjustment here, and quite possibly could just stay on single Evolution Chamber for an extended period. Because he's starting the upgrade so early, he'll actually still be able to get 2-1 very quickly in the game. And you'll only really notice a big slowdown in the upgrades around the time the kind of 3-3 and that sort of stuff is kicking in. So, I like this opening from IA. Otherwise, just droning on up, adding a lot of Queens now. And, he's actually droning a bit hard right now. Those medevacs are already coming across the map. His Overlord sees it. He needs to just mass Zerglings right now if he wants to hold on against this. He's only got 4 Queens out right now. And these are ByuN Marines right now. They've got Stim, they've got medevacs. You need to have a lot of units underneath that to stop that.
Of course, Stim finishes up and about, well, now I guess we don't have the WCS mod, so no cool countdown timers, but still, just darts right in there. He knows he wants to get on top of the Queens before they have energy to transfuse. Focus Fire 1, Focus Fire 2, Focus Fire 3, gets behind the mineral line. He's going to trade out with these Lings. ByuN is in such a sick position to just do so much damage.
And that might just be it. There's so much damage here, and that's a monstrous lead. This is not what IA wanted here. IA perhaps expecting a different build order, perhaps being used to playing against players who just don't execute it as well as ByuN. His Zerglings were slightly too slow with the wraparound. They only arrived after 3 of the Queens were dead. And at that point, it was a little bit too little too late. I mean, oh, man.
IA was making the right moves. Like, he wanted to focus fire down the medevac. He wanted to try and get that surround on those Marines with the mineral positioning. ByuN's timing, it all caught him off guard. He wasn't ready for it. 38 Lings died to trade up for 8 Marines and a medevac. 4 Queens on top of that, yuck.
And he's re-dropped here with a third medevac joining up with it. The Zerglings are pretty far across the map. Okay, the Overlord spotted it. The Zerglings are almost back home. But at the moment, that's a very weak hatchery. Oh, the Queens and drones once again being
focused down here. It's the same position. I'm having some deja vu.
Oh, man. Look at this. Just killing so many Marines. Is eventually gonna. Oh my gosh! He even saves the red hit point. Medevac forces the drones off the line once more.
They kill the hatchery.
This is out of control.
Queens want to come in and defend. They can't. If he does, he's just going to pounce on him. Hatchery gets transfused, but it's still not good enough. Medevac picks away. ByuN has done so much damage. And like I said, like, this might not be game over right now, but he's done so much damage before 8 minutes in the game. It's so hard to recover for IA off of this. ByuN's, of course, got a third CC back at home. His barracks are all adding on all these add-ons. Seriously, you watch most players play Terran, and it's kind of like an okay game. You watch ByuN play Terran, and it looks unfair.
He just doesn't miss a beat. No matter how far ahead he is, ByuN never tunnel visions. He never focuses too much on one part of the game. He keeps playing what his idea of the perfect game is. You know, he doesn't just say, oh my god, I'm microing, I'm killing stuff, yay. He's still always keeping his minerals super low. He's constantly bouncing home to swap his add-ons around, add more production, add more upgrades. Diving in once again with another marine build. There's so few Zerglings here. The queens are going to come forward. There we go. Nice wraparound. This time IA should barely be able to hold on, but no, he can't quite do it.
No. It's ByuN. Come on, man. You're getting ahead of yourself. GG. This guy's crazy. It's ByuN.
Wow, we thought that would be a one-sided match, and yeah, it looks like that game number 2 was very one-sided indeed. Beyond there, I mean, he does this to some of the best Zergs in the world, where he just hits that build so crisp, so well. The player makes a small mistake, he pounces, and they are out of the game. So ByuN there with a bit of an easy first match for his tournament run here, but the next one is going to be much tougher. He's going to have to play the winner of our next match. Of course, the next match, guys, will be Maru versus Solar, and that's definitely one you want to hang around for.
Let me tell you, I'm really excited for this because we've talked a little bit about the offline-online dynamic already with casting Zest earlier. Maru has been, without a doubt, like the biggest example of like great player offline, not so great player online. Like he shows up for like cups, even plays in the Alima League from time to time. It's not the same Maru. Like you would accuse him of someone else playing on his account type thing. But then he goes to play offline events, and the guy's like the best Terran in the world. So this is offline. He's playing at a land location. It's at IEM. I'm expecting good things from him. I'm expecting the best version of him. So this is going to be a really great match coming up next, guys. This series is pretty quick, though. I do imagine we're going to have a little bit of downtime waiting for the mainstream to catch up because they are trying to keep these matches in sync with one another. So thank you so much for watching. Don't go anywhere. We're going to just play some music, and we'll be back in a bit with hopefully Solar and Maru ready to go ASAP.